Hello and welcome to the Employer Content Marketing Pod. I'm Chris LeCount-Harwood, your host of the podcast about employer marketing content. When the competition to attract and retain talent is fierce, organisations can't rely on just promoting their vacancies. They need to do a lot more than that. Enter employer content marketing. Joining me will be guests from inside and outside of the world of employer marketing. Let's get on with the chat. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you're listening to this. One thing I wanted to do from this podcast is to take learnings and experiences from other sectors outside of employer marketing. Alongside employer marketing, over the years I've been heavily involved in education marketing. So I wanted to just spend a bit of time talking about some thoughts and some work done in the education marketing sector. Last year I was at the Youth Marketing Strategy London Summit, and I was presenting about the role of content marketing, the importance of content marketing in helping recruit and retain students at universities. One thing that I found was that there's a massive need to make sure that actually marketing is absolutely on point, to make sure that those people who are considering university are making the right choices, and even whether or not university is the right choice for them. Because there was research done by Student Union Research Group in 2018, and this is something I mentioned in my presentation, was that 21% of students have considered dropping out of university. So of course that's a big deal. They're customers at the end of the day, and if they're thinking about dropping out, then they're not going to be fully fledged customers, and the university will lose out, and of course that student will lose out as well. And also there's an issue with mental health, and I talked about how some work done by Wonky, which is higher education policy organisation that disseminates lots of great information to the education sector. And they did some analysis in 2019 and found that 45.5% of students were citing mental health as their biggest concern day to day. So again, there's a responsibility there for universities to market their organisations in the right way, to make sure actually, again, those people are making the right choices, but also then when they are considering that university, to be sure about what kind of support they're going to be getting, and to hear the stories of those students who maybe had gone through particular challenges that those potential customers are thinking about as well. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a BBC 3 documentary called Students on the Edge, and I'll drop a link actually in the episode description. But that is a short documentary series of videos of following students at their time at university, and shows the challenges they face of getting through life at university, with a particular focus on mental health. But a particular reason why I wanted to have a chat today really was that I talked about how content marketing is important for universities, because ultimately with content marketing being something that's providing valuable, useful content to potential customers for universities, there's a flip side there for recruiters, and it's particularly in the school leaver and graduate recruitment space, where there's that importance of actually getting the right people to apply and getting the right candidates to join the organisation. So the provision of information there is really important. So I had something come in the post recently, which was from the University of Plymouth, which is a magazine. That magazine is called Student Life, and the magazine is basically not massive. It's probably, how many pages? Let's have a look. It is 35 pages, and that is sent out to people who are considering going to university. Now, I signed up to it because I'm interested in getting this kind of content to see what the customer experience is like, so to speak, or the potential customer experience is like. And this magazine is great. It talks about how to choose the right university for you. There are articles in there about your well-being at uni, how to get an internship with a global brand, and also stories about students who are doing courses like environmental science, and also animal behaviour and welfare. But it's great because actually there's very little around promoting the university. There's topics like well-being, and people will be concerned about what will they need to do when they're actually at university to make sure that they are doing the best they can for their own mental health. So there's some stories here which are great, little bits of stories and advice that is about helping people make sure that they are going to be, getting the support they need while they're at university. Also, you got a story here of Ben. Ben is doing an environmental science course, and it's a lovely story that isn't really about promoting the course out and out. It's about talking about his story and why he decided to go into that course. And this really comes from a passion for nature, which particularly is kind of being driven by him growing up in Norfolk and his connection with the Norfolk Broads. Also, we've got a bit of thought leadership around saving our seas from the plastic from a Professor Richard Thompson OBE, which is showing the expertise of that organisation, which is about then reassuring people who may be considering applying to Plymouth that actually there are people who really know their stuff, and they're going to be involved in cutting edge thinking. Also, there's a thing around student life as well, where it's around what to do while you're not studying. And so there's a great article here actually, which is around the Yard, which is a place in Plymouth for entertainment, music, eating and drinking, and it really feels like it should be actually be in a tourist magazine. So it's really doing a job to sell the location, but also talking about what you can do as a student and what you can do to get the most out of social life as a student. So there's quite a few articles in here, and on top of those things I've mentioned already, there's something very practical in terms of getting the most out of open days. Why should you go to an open day? So it talks about the benefits of going to any open day, not purely about why you should go to Plymouth. And there's some great quotes from people who have been involved in open days. So this is kind of this utility, this useful content that I think is very, very powerful for Plymouth to be providing. And then there's something around choosing the right course. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tips around what you need to do to make sure you're choosing the right course. Again, it's not about reasons you should choose Plymouth University course. It's about just really generally, if you're looking at a course and want to make sure you're choosing the right course, what should you be thinking about? And then the other piece is there around the UCAS application form, and there's advice about how you actually do things like your personal statement. And as you may remember from family members doing or yourself doing it, that actually a personal statement is pretty important. So again, there's some really good advice there on top tips for your personal statement. So I think if we take this kind of mindset of content marketing in the form of this magazine and go, right, well, if the University of Plymouth are doing this for potential student applicants, then actually if you're looking at recruiting apprentices, if you're looking at recruiting graduates, what kind of content can you actually provide them. So you curate that content, you then pass it on to people who are interested in just understanding what they need to do, even before they're thinking about which organisation they should do it with. So I'll drop in a link to Student Life by the University of Plymouth, and you can sign up to getting alerts like I have, and it's really worth looking at, because I think it's a great example of content marketing mindset that can really be applied to the employer marketing space.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to follow or subscribe for the latest episode drops. And don't forget to get in touch if you want to contribute.